I am most surprised that your team, who has a quarterback on a rookie deal, who you look at their roster, it is the one spot that it's like, man, how are they going to get a consistent pass rush? You had to have Caleb pull so many rabbits out of his hat in the playoff, in part because they weren't able to get a consistent pass rush. Are you surprised Chicago isn't the team we're talking about here?
They don't have a young edge rusher to fill in the Jared Verse spot. And so if we say that Verse is worth 2 first-round picks, I just don't think Ryan Poles is ready to trade 5 draft picks, including 3 firsts, for Myles Garrett. But I know they were interested in Max Crosby before the failed physical. I know they had edge rushers on their board that they were hoping were falling to them in the draft that they weren't able to get in the draft. So they're an NFC team, which maybe Cleveland would have been interested in dealing with them. So I definitely think the Bears had this conversation. But I don't think but most of the reporting, Albert Breer posted a piece right before we came on the air, that the Rams really did not want to give up Jared Verse. They wanted to make this just a draft pick trade. And the Browns were adamant that a young, cost-controlled player needed to be included in the deal. And the Bears just don't have that at edge rusher. So if that was the Browns' sticking point, there's just so few teams in the league that could meet this point. That's assuming Breer's reporting.
It's literally the Rams. It's literally the Rams in terms of a team that Myles Garrett again
would want to
go to that has a comp that then you can make this trade.
The Eagles are not going to trade Jalen Carter.
No.
In this spot, it's a very small list if premium young edge rushers.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Not only do they not have it, but also if they were willing to trade all those picks, I think there's always a little confusion about the whole rookie deal with a quarterback and wanting to go all in on all of that. And it's something that I actually really want to unpack because I think we kind of missed the forest for the trees at times. So, but before we jump into it, Chicago Bears fans, please do not forget to subscribe and watch the full length of the video. When you guys do that, views go through the roof, subscribers go through the roof. And it's not about chasing views, it's not about chasing subscribers, it's about being able to create Chicago Bears content that people genuinely want to watch and discuss. So, we can keep having the most unbiased, grounded conversations about the Chicago Bears. It really makes a huge difference and I'd really appreciate it. So, here's the thing. Yes, you want to take swings and you'll be willing to spend a lot of money now on players when you have a quarterback on a rookie deal. The problem is that if you give up all this draft capital, it's precisely the capital that you need to round out your roster when it is time to pay Caleb Williams all the money in the world. I mean, at this point, but when it's time to pay Caleb, what's it going to be like? $70 million a year. I mean, how everything just keeps going up. It's going to be like 70-something. Gee, deep 60s, like it's going to be a ton of money and you're going to want that 27th first-round pick. I mean, it would be if in this situation, it would be at least 22,027th first round and 2028th first round, right? You need those picks. You need those picks. You need those picks. You need those picks. Those are the players that are going to round out your roster and honestly, not even just round out your roster, but be huge impact players. You need them to hit. Otherwise, then you're in trouble. So, the whole idea of you just need to go all in when you have a young quarterback because you're going to have to pay him, and it's going to be hard, this, that, and the third. And it's especially in free agency, especially if you're making a trade that's clears throat, a situation where, let's say you're trading let's just make it really simple. Let's just say Myles Garrett was just traded for a first-round pick, and you're going to have to pay him again. Let's just use round numbers, $200 million. Right? Okay, that's fine because now you're paying for Myles Garrett right now, and you're only giving up, next year's first-round pick that by the time it is to pay for Caleb Williams, Myles Garrett's contract will, again, eventually be fading away. Combined with what we have this, sure, we don't have a first round pick in 2027, but we do in 28, in 29. So, it just still kind of, again, staggers it in a way where it's just like, sure, we can afford to not, we don't need young, cheap talent right now in 2026 and 2027. So, we can pay for that talent right now, and we can trade a draft pick to a team that's just, selling up shop right now. Like in that way, it makes a lot of sense. Almost kind of like what the Denver Broncos did with Bo Nix, with Jalen Waddle. Not exactly because, again, you are at this point, you're starting to get a little bit deeper in these rookie contracts because it's obviously not the first year or even the second year right now. You're in the third year, and depending on when you officially want to extend and how you want to operate with void years and then signing bonuses, like all of that starts to get kind of crazy and unpredictable. But, the whole idea that you can just trade all this capital because if we're really going to say that Jared Verse is worth 2 firsts, then it would be 3 firsts you'd be giving up. Like, 3 firsts you'd be giving up. And I don't know, man, that ends up really hurting you. You're going to pay Caleb Williams all this money in the world and you're going to be out first round picks. And even a first round pick next year is still really valuable because again, when you have to pay them, like, everything starts to get staggered. So, it's just that it really hurts you. So, yeah. I mean, I think you can use those picks sometimes for immediate players. That's why I tried to make the very simple example of just trading a pick for Myles Garrett that you have to pay right now, right? Which is then just a step up for free agencies and you actually have to give up the capital. But then also just obviously spending in actual free agency, taking a chance on a Devontae Adams or a Saquon Barkley, right? Like, cause technically those were seen as chances and you could be like, okay, we got money to burn. We can take some chances cause we have a rookie quarterback. Right? Like in that type of situation, but I really do think it was just a perfect situation for the Rams. They talked about the Eagles before and Brew talked about the Ravens. The Ravens definitely would have been interesting, but considering the moves that they had already made, I don't know if that really matters. Maybe if you're talking about pre-draft, then I could understand. Again, another interesting team would have been like the Cincinnati Bengals, who they're obviously not going to trade with. I shouldn't say obviously, but I don't think they would, and that's the same thing with the Ravens as well. So, I don't know. Probably makes the most amount of sense for Cleveland, but I just think at the end of the day, the Cleveland Browns actually just got such an amazing deal that maybe you could say, hey, first round picks, right? In 27, 28, and 29 would be pretty awesome for the Cleveland Browns. And any team would be ecstatic for that, especially considering they're rebuilding and sets them up to really ensure they finally get their quarterback of the future. But I just don't see why the Bears would do that in this moment of time. It just would not make sense, and you do have Caleb Williams. You are trying to build this team. You do have an elite roster from my viewpoint. You do need to round it out, and you're going to give up all your first-round picks. Like, no, man. It's one thing if you were going to use those first-round picks. And again, 1 pick for Jared versus 1 pick for A.J. Brown, 1 pick right now. Again, you're paying all that money right now, but then you really truly are putting yourself in the ultimate position to win right now, win right now, win right now. And then when it's time to pay Caleb, all those other players' contracts will be off the books, and they'll be done, you'll cut them, trade them, let them loose, whatever. And then yeah, maybe you struggle for a couple years, but then you'd be, back in a decent situation, and all that for just 1 player. No, man. I think that ends up hurting you way more than it helps you, but that's also the power that the Rams are in right now. They can take these swings. They already have such a great foundation. They have the experience. They have the coaching. They have the capital that they keep burning through, obviously, but they're looking at this on the shortest of all windows right now, 1 to 2 year window. Let's go. And you know, it just makes the most amount of sense for them right now. So, yeah. This is a fascinating move that everyone, I think most people are kind of just like excited at the movement in general, about the move itself. But when you try to think of all these other teams that could have done it or should have done it, it is a steep price. It's a steep price that I'm trying to think of realistically, what other team could have done this that I would have been like, that was amazing. This is so great. I feel like the only other team would be the Buffalo Bills. 'Cause I already said no to the Eagles. I obviously just said no to the Chicago Bears. I mean, it would maybe be interesting for the Seattle Seahawks. And again, I'm not trying to overthink the actual capital compensation itself, but like the Seahawks would maybe be kind of interesting to kind of like try to take their defense to the next level. And try to just really reinforce like, hey, we're going to win another Super Bowl. I think that would have been interesting. Not the Chiefs, it's not where they're at. Chargers would have maybe been interesting. And I guess Broncos would have been interesting. But I don't know. I feel like I start to reach on some of these moves. Yeah, I just know that the Chicago Bears would have been at the bottom of my list. So, I'm surprised that Nick was like, I'm surprised they did. Nick specifically said the Eagles and the Bears were the two teams that surprised him that they didn't make the moves. And honestly, those two are the two teams that would be at the bottom of my list to make those moves. I would say the Rams, obviously, since it just worked and it makes a lot of sense for them. And then my gut tells me, if I had to pick right now, I'd lean more towards, and again, realistically, since I'm not really factoring in the Ravens or the Bengals. I think maybe the Bills and the Broncos would probably make the most amount of sense. And then again, the Seattle Seahawks. Maybe the 49ers even, but I don't know. I'd have to think about it longer. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the idea that the Chicago Bears missed out on Myles Garrett, especially with Caleb Williams on a rookie deal? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build some thing that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.